Great. So now we need to create essentially a broadcast which will send a message or a signal that alerts Nano. Great. So now what we have to do is broadcast a message or a signal to enable Nanette to know when to talk. So essentially what we'll do is we'll go to events and we'll create this broadcast message. Now I will name this message just so I remember where I am in the conversation. I'm going to go ahead and just briefly call like lovely evening, just so I remember this broadcast. So after he said lovely evening Nanette, broadcast lovely evening, which is just a signal, okay, that is going to be received by Nanette. So when she receives that signal, we could have Nanette say something. So we would say, in this case, I don't know what she's going to say in response, so maybe quite lovely indeed. Quite lovely indeed. Okay. So again, we'll go ahead and try this, and if all goes according to plan, it's going to say lovely evening Nanette. Broadcast that signal, then that signal is going to pretty much be caught here. That broadcast is going to be caught, and then we can go ahead and say quite lovely indeed. Lovely evening Nanette. Quite lovely indeed. Great. So now it becomes a game of just back and forth conversations with broadcasts. So now once Nanette says that, we'll broadcast another message, and that message will be sent to Nano. So we'll go ahead, create another broadcast here. So I'll broadcast quite lovely. So I'll make a new message here. Quite lovely. Okay, just shorthand. So then we jump back to Nano, who is going to grab that broadcast when that happens. So when I receive the quite lovely broadcast, I'll go ahead. Nano's going to say something. Maybe, do you see someone? Do you see someone in the distance? Okay. Okay. So do you see someone in the distance? Good. Sorry about that. So go ahead, maybe change this to 3 seconds. So we'll go ahead and run it from the beginning. Lovely evening. Quite lovely indeed. Boom, do you see someone in the distance? Okay, so now they spot us in the distance. So again, we'll go ahead, create another broadcast really quick. And that is, do you see? So just new message. Do you see? Okay, great. So you see the conversation is developing. So then we'll go back to Nanette, and then when she receives this, we're going to have her say something. Maybe it's, yeah, let me, yeah, I do. Yes. Yes. It looks like they're behind a keyboard. Okay. So I'll say that for 3 seconds. Then she'll say, let me get closer to investigate. Let me get closer to investigate. So let's go ahead and try this out. Lovely evening, Nanette. Quite lovely indeed. Do you see someone in the distance? Yes, it looks like they're behind a keyboard. Let me get closer to investigate. So I used the wrong there. So go ahead and fix that. And then, as you can see, I went ahead and said, let's go ahead and investigate. So we'll change Nanette's size here. And I'm all just doing this within the broadcast. So I'll go ahead, change size by quite a bit. So she's going to come up and look pretty large here. So change size by, let's make it 100. So we'll just jump to this and we'll try this. So I just click this to preview so I can jump to later in the thing. So I want to make it even bigger. So change size by 300. So again, instead of running the entire script by hitting green flag, I'll just jump to this. So I'll just click green flag. Very cool. So that's exactly what I wanted. I'm actually going to move Nanette over. So I'll go ahead and move her to about here. Okay. And then I will make sure she goes to this point. Okay. And then I have to go back earlier in my project and make sure when the green flag is clicked, she's initiated at a much smaller size and a different position. So when we start the project, she's going to be smaller like the other nanos. So I'll go ahead and make sure her size is set to 100%. Okay, make sure her size is set to 100%, and make sure that she is in a position over here. So that position would be about 100, negative 100, negative 100. So motion, all right, go to negative 100, negative 100, okay? So hit the green flag. Okay, so maybe that wasn't the correct location for her. Maybe move her up, okay? Which is actually this position here, because it's automatically updated in our go-to block, right? So make sure these are correct, and then we'll start. Great. Lovely evening, Nanette. Quite lovely indeed. Do you see someone in the distance? Yes, it looks like they're behind a keyboard. Let me get close to investigate. Bam. Okay, awesome. Now I think it'd be funny if Nanette discovered there was actually glass and they're behind glass and we were watching them. So what I want to do, instead of just downloading a sound effect, I think I can just walk over here in my room to my window and knock on the glass and record it. So we'll see if this works. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug my headphones here. So now you guys should be able to hear me. It might sound a little bit different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into sounds and we're going to record my own sound. So I hit the sounds tab. I'll go ahead and hit this record button. So I'm going to walk over to my window. Okay. Get ready to record. So I'll go ahead and hit record. Okay, so that is going to be our recording of the window knocking. So let's see how that sounds. Okay. Pretty cool. Okay, so we can go ahead and do some quick audio trimming. I'm going to go ahead and plug my headphones back in. So now that you can hear me just a little bit better, I'm going to go ahead and trim this. So let's go edit, cut, so trim that, and then trim this end here. So this is just dead space here, so trim that. Just click, drag, and select, and then hit cut. Okay, so now we have our sound. So when Nanette has approached us, we're going to play this sound. And you notice I forgot, I didn't name this sound anything. I'll name this here, window tap. Okay, and then that's going to play. So after she's done that, we're going to she's going to say, you know, let me look closer to investigate and play the sound. So we'll see how this looks like. Instead of hitting the green flag, I'll just go ahead and preview it from this. Yes, it looks like someone's behind the keyboard. Okay, so it's going to be a little buggy because I didn't start from the beginning. But we see that the sound is there. It's so cool. Okay, so maybe we go ahead and continue the conversation and Nano asks for our help. Or maybe he realizes that, oh my gosh, we're behind glass. And then he comes up and investigates too. So let's go ahead and do that. So we will send a broadcast over to Nano. So I'll go ahead and create a new broadcast. And I will create a broadcast window tap. Okay. So new message, window tap. I'm naming it window tap because that's what is following it. Okay. And then when Nano gets the window tap, we'll go ahead and have him jump up and investigate too. So when I receive the new broadcast message, window tap, I want Nano to go ahead and jump up here and become large like Nanette. So we'll go to motion. I'm sorry, we'll go to looks, and then we'll go to change size. Let's go ahead and change size by 400 and see what that looks like. Okay, so he gets really big. So again, we'll do what we did before and maybe move him over. Okay. Okay, pretty cool. All right, so keep moving him over. Okay, so now, again, we have to think back to earlier in the project. When we move these characters up here at the end of the project, we need to think about how this affects the beginning of the project. So I know in the beginning of the project, we're going to want to make sure Nano is 100%. So I'll go back to my looks, And at the beginning of my project, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that he is here at 100%, okay? So that's just going to initialize him at 100%. Also, I wonder where his position is going to be, because right now he looks like he's in a good position. So we can go ahead and set this position for later in the project. So we see he's at this position, so we can grab the go to block. So he'll go to this block. But now let's look at the beginning of the sequence here. If I go ahead and start it, we see that he's all the way over here. So he took that position at the end. So we need to make sure in the beginning we have him in a good position, which is about right here. Okay. Then we can grab this updated block, this go to block, and he'll be there in the beginning. So let's go ahead and try this from the beginning, from the top, to make sure everything is working correctly. Lovely evening. Okay, good. Broadcast sent, broadcast received, broadcast sent, received. Yes, it looks like you're behind keyboard. Come up. Okay. Okay. So it looks like they came up at the same time. So we have to go ahead and troubleshoot this. So I wanted the broadcast after the window tap. Okay, so play sound window tap. Ah, I see. So what it did is it played it automatically after this sound started to play. So what I need to do is say play sound until done, and then once the sound has completed, then broadcast that signal. Okay, so once this window tap is completed, boom, we'll send that broadcast over to Nano, and he is going to investigate. Okay, so we can go ahead and stop this. Then we'll say when I receive window tap, go ahead, let's have him say something before he jumps up to the front of the screen. Okay, so we'll have him say, oh my gosh, we're living behind glass. Oh my, we're living inside of living behind glass. A glass panel. Cool. Okay, so now let's go ahead and try this again. So if all goes according to plan, we should have a working project here. Lovely internet, quite lovely indeed. Do you see someone in the distance? Yes. Yes, it looks like they're behind a keyboard. Let me get closer and investigate. So, tapping. Oh my, we're behind a glass panel. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so now to finish this project off, I added a little wait time there. Let's have a loop here of Nano, a loop forever of Nano tapping on the glass, asking for help. So we'll go ahead. I just created a forever loop. We'll do play sound, play sound. So we notice we actually don't have a sound to put in here. That's because our glass tapping sound is actually in Nano 2. So what can we do? Because we see here sounds, we don't have any sounds for Nano 1. What we can do is we can go to Nano 2, look at her sounds, Nanette's sounds, and say, let's go ahead and drag this sound into our backpack. Because our backpack's going to allow us to move stuff like this from sprite to sprite. So our sound is now dragged and dropped into our backpack, and I'll jump into Nano. Okay, now I will drag and drop it, boom, in here. So now we see I actually will have the sound to choose from. And again, like before, we have to make sure it's playing until done, and then we'll have Nano ask for help. So say, help us escape. Help us escape. Okay. So then this will be running infinitely. So let's go ahead and try it from the top and see what this looks like. Lovely evening, Nanette. Cool. Quite lovely indeed. Do you see someone in the distance? Okay. Good. You should pop up. Tap on glass. Good. Oh my, we're behind a glass panel. Help us escape. Cool. And then this will run infinitely. Very cool. All right, so all I have to do now is go ahead and name this project. Nano. I don't know what I'll name this. I'm gonna think about a name, but I'm gonna go ahead and name this and share it in the Conversation Studios, and I hope you enjoy.